f of x equals root of 9 minus x square is, the options given are closed interval 0, 3, option B, interval 0, 3, where 3 is a point in the interval, where 0 is not, open interval 0, 3, and option D, the interval 0, 3, where 0 is a point in the interval, whereas 3 is not. Okay, so here we are supposed to find out the range of this function. That is, what are all the points that are images of the given function. Okay, now let us call the given function as y. Let y be root of 9 minus x square, and we have to find out what is the interval where y lies. Okay, that is all the possible values of y. Okay, so let me square this. Y square will be equal to 9 minus x square, or this can be written as x square is equal to 9 minus y square, or x is equal to root of 9 minus y square, right? Since we have to find out the possible points, that is y, and since it is under the root, this 9 minus y square must be greater than or equal to 0. That is, minus y square will be greater than or equal to minus 9, or y square will be less than or equal to 9, which is minus 3, less than or equal to y, less than or equal to plus 3. So these are all the values where y can lie. But y is positive here. You may ask why. Why is the variable y positive? Say, here from this equation, we can see the x, that is the domain of this function, is minus 3 to 3. That is, x varies from minus 3 to 3. See here, I'll take this 9 minus x square. Since it is under root, this has to be greater than or equal to 0. Same like this. Same like this. Here we get minus 3 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 3. That is, x belongs to the closed interval minus 3, 3. See, we can give the values for x from minus 3 to 3 here, right? Suppose I give x is equal to minus 3 in the given function. What will happen to the function? This will be 9 minus 3 whole square, that is root of 9 minus 9, the answer will be 0. Suppose if I give minus 2, the value of y will be, what is the value of y here?
Root 5.
Yes, it is root 5. What if I give minus 1? It will be root 8, right? So similarly, when I give x is equal to 0, the value of y will be equal to 0. Sorry, it will be 3, right? The value of y will be 3. Similarly, when I give 1, 2, 3, the value once again goes from 3 to 0. That is, the value of y is positive whenever, whatever the value of x you give from minus 3 to 3. Therefore, y, the values of y are positive here, that is greater than or equal to 0 here, so that this part of the value is not considered, since y should be positive. Therefore, y will be less than or equal to 3. That is, y belongs to the interval 0, 3. Here, since it is greater than or equal to 0, even 0 is considered to be the part of the interval. Therefore, y belongs to the closed interval 0, 3. This is your option A here. Therefore, the right option is the closed interval 0, 3. That is option A. So let us see the next question. So look at the question number 40. So this was a question in the year 2018. A set is having 6 distinct elements. Okay. A set is having 6 distinct elements. The number of distinct functions from A to A. Let the set be A and it is having 6 distinct elements. The number of functions, that is distinct functions from A to A, which are not bijection, is. So the functions should not be a bijection. We have to calculate such functions. Okay. So the options given are 6 factorial minus 6. Option B is 6 to the power of 6 minus 6. Option C is given to be 6 to the power of 6 minus 6 factorial. And option D is 6 factorial. Okay. So here, what we are going to do is, first, we are going to calculate the total number of functions that can be defined from the set A to A. And then we are going to subtract the number of bijections that can be defined from A to A. Right? That will give us the distinct functions that can be defined from A to A, which are not bijections. Okay. So remember this. Functions from A to A having, where A has n elements. Say here, don't get confused with n once again. Say m elements. Then the functions from A to A, that is the total number of functions from A to A, will be n to the power of n. This will be n to the power of n. So the total number of functions that can be defined from the set A to A, where n of A, that is the number of elements in the A, be m, then the number of functions from A to A will be m to the power of m. And the number of bijections that can be defined from set A to A, where n of A is m, will be m factorial. Okay. So the total number of distinct functions that can be defined from A to A, where n of A is m, will be given by m to the power of m. And the number of bijections from the set A to A will be m factorial. So here n of A is given to be 6, right? So the total number of functions will be, how much? 6 to the power of 6.
6.
And the number of bijections, will be
6 factorial.
Yes, 6 factorial. So the number of distinct functions from A to A which are not bijections will be 6 to the power of 6 minus 6 factorial, right? We are calculated the total number of functions and subtracted the number of functions which are bijections. So that will give us the number of functions from A to A which are not bijections. So this is mute your audios. So the function will be, sorry, the right answer, the right option is option C. The next question. Look at the question number 41. This was asked in the year 2018. Let f be a function from the set of real numbers to the set of real numbers defined by f of x equals 2x whenever x is greater than 3, x square whenever x lies between 1 and 3, and 3x whenever x is less than or equal to 1. Okay, so this is the definition of the function, and then we have to find out f of -1 plus f of 2 plus f of 4. So this is the thing we are supposed to find out here. The options given are 9, option B is 14, option C is 5, and option D is 10. Okay, so this is very simple. You have to look at the value of which the function value is supposed to be find out, and you have to look for the interval where this number falls. Okay, see here it is -1. -1 is less than or equal to 1, right? -1 is less than 1, and for that particular number this will be the function definition. So for 2 lies between 1 and 3, so this will be the function definition. And for 4, x is greater than 3, that is 4 is greater than 3, and this will be the function definition. So according to the value given, we will put the definition of the function and find out what is the value. So for f of -1, it will be 3x, that is f of -1 will be 3 into -1 plus, what is f of 2? 2 lies between 1 and 3, therefore function definition is x square. So it will be 2 square plus 2x. So here it is given f of 4, x is greater than 3, therefore 2 into 4 will be here. So this is -3 plus 4 plus 8. So the value is 9. That is f of -1 plus f of 2 plus f of 4 is equal to 9. So this is your option A here. Right? Look at the next question, question number 42. So this was asked in the year 2019. Let f be a function from the set of real numbers to the set of real numbers, and g is a function which is defined from the interval 0, infinity to the set of real numbers which are defined by f of x is equal to x square and g of x is equal to root x. Now we have to check which of the following given statements is not true. The statements given are G composition F of 4, that is G of F of 4 is equal to 4. The second statement is F of G of 2 is equal to 2. Option C, F of G of minus 4 is equal to 4. And option D is G of F of minus 2 is equal to 2. Okay, we have to check which of the following statements is not true whenever the function definitions are given as following. Okay, so see here, f of x is a function which makes the square of x, whereas g of x is a function which takes the root of x. Okay, let us see one by one. G of f of 4. Okay, so let us consider the option 1, G of f of 4, that is G of f of 4, right? So for 4 we have to take the square, sorry, that is G of 4 square, right? G of 4 square, that will be G of 8, sorry, G of 16. So G is a function which takes the root, right? 16, that will be equal to 4. Therefore, this is a true statement. What about B? F of G of 2. F of G of 2. So this is F of G of 2 will be root 2. So if is a function which considers the, takes the square, so root 2 whole square will be 2. Option, sorry, the second statement is also true. What about the third statement? Let us see. F of G of minus 4. That is F of G of minus 4. So G is a function which takes the root, right? So this is F of root of minus 4. See here, G is a function which always gives a real output. The output will always be a real number. But whenever you have to consider a root of negative number, you will get a complex number, right? So the root of a negative number will be a complex number. That is not a real output. Therefore, this is a false statement. Okay, because the output here will be complex. And you can notice one more thing. Here it is given minus 4. But the domain of this G is 0 to infinity. Minus 4 is not at all a point in the domain of the G. Therefore, this function at this particular point does not exist at all. So this statement is false. And if you check for the last statement, this will be a true statement because this minus 2, G of f of minus 2, when you take this will be G of minus 2 whole square, right? That is G of 4. So G takes the root, it will be root 4, which is 2. So the last statement will also be true. But the third statement cannot be true because for that particular point, the function does not exist at all because the domain of G is 0 to infinity. So the wrong statement is the third statement, which is option C. Okay. Look at the next question. Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Look at the 43rd question. So this was a question from 2019 paper. If A is a set of all x such that x belongs to n, that is the set of natural numbers, and x is less than or equal to 5. X is less than or equal to 5, and B is the set of all x such that x belongs to z, that is the set of integers, and x square minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. Okay. Then the number of onto functions, the number of YouTube audios, the number of onto functions from A to B is, from A to B is, the options given are option A 2, option B 30, option C 23, and option D is 32. Okay, so here two sets are given. Any doubts? If not, mute your audios. Okay, there are two sets given. Set A will be the set of the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Because it is given that x belongs to the set of natural numbers and x is less than or equal to 5. Therefore, A will be a set having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as its elements. And what about B? So here a quadratic equation is given in the B, and the elements of the set B must satisfy this quadratic equation. So let me consider that equation and factorize the equation. Let us see what are the elements present in the set B. Okay, so can you people factorize this and tell me the factors, roots of the given?
3x minus 2x plus 6.
So the roots are, right?
3
and 2 are the roots of the given equation. So 3 and 2 are definitely integers, and these two will be the set, elements in the set B. Okay. So we have to find out the number of bijections that can be defined from A to B. Okay. Remember a thing, the number of onto functions, if you remember this, it will be easy for you to solve problems like this. The number of onto functions from A to B, where B must have only 2 elements. That is, A can have any number of elements and B has only 2 elements. That is, n of B must be 2. In such a case, the number of onto functions from A to B will be, the number of onto functions from A to B will be 2 to the power of m minus 2. If you know this will give a quick result for problems like this. Okay. Suppose here n of A is m and n of B is 2, then the number of onto functions from A to B will be 2 to the power of m minus 2. So here we know what is the number of elements present in A, right? N of A is 5. and n of b is 2. Therefore, the number of onto functions from a to b will be 2 to the power of 5 into, 2 to the power of 5 minus 2, right? So here,
Ma'am,
the number of onto functions will be 2 to the power of 5.
excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, is this only applicable when n of b is 2?
Yes. This is applicable only when the number of elements in the set B is 2.
Ma'am, what if it is more than 2? Then how to find it?
So we'll have a problem like that and we will see that later.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, 2 to the power of 5. What is the value of 2 to the power of 5?
32.
Yes. So 32 minus 2, that is 30, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So the number of onto functions that can be defined from A to B here is 30, which is your option B. Look at the next question. Question number 44. On the set of positive rationals, a binary operation star is defined by A star B equals 2AB by 5. Okay, A star B is equal to 2AB by 5 if 2 star X is equal to 3 inverse. If 2 star X is equal to 3 inverse, then X equals. So we have to find out the value of X. The options given are 1 by 6. Option B is given to be 2 by 5. Option C is 5 by 12. And option D is 125 by 48. Okay. See here, if the given binary operation was a multiplication, so we would have written 3 inverse as 1 by 3. But here the given binary operation is not just multiplication. The definition of binary operation is here, that is 2AB by 5. So to find the inverse of the number 3, we have to look at the nature of the inverse element and we have to find out the identity element for the given binary operation. Okay, so we know that to find out the identity element, we always know that A star E will give us A, where E is the identity element of the given with according to the given binary operation. So we know the definition of this binary operation. So here it will be 2AE divided by 5, which is equal to A. So this implies E is equal to 5 by 2, right? Because this A and A gets cancelled. This 5 will go to the numerator and this 2 will come to the denominator in the RHS and E will be equal to 5 by 2. This is the identity element of this given binary operation. So now we know the identity element and now let us find out the 3 inverse. So we also know that whenever we multiply a number, whenever we operate a number with its inverse, we always get the identity element, right? Isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
A star A inverse will always give us E. So here we have 3 and 3 inverse. This will give us E for sure. And E here is 5 by 2. right? So here we know the definition of A star B. Let us apply the definition. This is 2 into 3 into 3 inverse divided by 5 is equal to 5 by 2. That is 6 into 3 inverse divided by 5 is 5 by 2, or 3 inverse is 25 by 12. So this is 3 inverse. Now we got to know what is the value of 3 inverse. Now let us substitute the value of 3 inverse and we expand this with the definition of the binary operation and find out what will be the value of x. Okay. So here so 2 star x is equal to 25 by 12 because this is the value of 3 inverse. So this is 2 into 2 into x divided by 5 is equal to 25 by 12, or x is equal to 25 into 5 divided by 12 into 4. That is, can you calculate and tell me the value?
125 by 48.
Yes, this is 125 divided by 48. So this is the value of x. Okay, so this is in your option D. Therefore, the right answer is option D here. Look at the next question. So this was a question in the year 2019. So domain of the function f from R to R. So f is a function from the set of real numbers to the set of real numbers defined by f of x equals root of x square minus 7x plus 12 is okay. So the options given are, we have to find out the domain here. The options are minus infinity, comma 3, union 4, comma infinity. Option B is minus infinity, comma 3, where 3 is closed, intersection 4, comma infinity. Option C is minus infinity, comma 3, union 4, comma infinity, which is an open interval. And option D is open interval 3, comma 4. So these are the options given. And we have seen around 2 to 3 problems of the same kind, right? An equation under the root. So to find out the domain, the equation under the root must always be positive, because if this equation becomes negative, the output will be an imaginary number which will not be a number in the codomain. So this value must be positive. So to find out the domain, let us consider this equation, and this equation must be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, since this is a quadratic equation, let us find out the roots. So the roots here will be, the factors of this equation will be x minus 3 into x minus 4. This must be greater than or equal to 0. Are these the right things? These are the right factors, right? Have I written this correctly? Are 3 and 4 the roots of this equation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So for this to be positive, let us see when will these two factors, the product of these two factors will be positive. Okay. So let me give some value here. Suppose I will put x is equal to 3.5. So what happens to this equation? So 3.5 minus 3 will be a positive quantity. But what about this? 3.5 minus 4 will be a negative quantity. A positive and a negative quantity will be negative, right? That will not be greater than or equal to 0. So here, whenever you give any value between 3 and 4, you can check that the product of these numbers will not be greater than or equal to 0, right? So the values, whatever you give, must either be less than 3, less than or equal to 3, or the values must be greater than or equal to 4 here. So x belongs to minus infinity comma 3, where 3 is close. See here, you can also give the value 3. That will be equal to 3, right? The product will be equal to 0. That is 3 minus 3 will be 0, and 0 into anything will give us 0. There is an equality sign here, so we can give the value 3. Union 4 comma infinity, because we can give 4. Once again, you get 0. And whatever the values that are above 4 will give us a positive quantity. But the values between 3 and 4 will give a negative output, which cannot be greater than or equal to 0. Therefore, x must belong to this interval, that is minus infinity comma 3 union 4 comma infinity, where 3 and 4 are also the points in the interval. So this is your option A. Therefore, the right answer is option A here. Understood? Shall we move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you repeat it once more, ma'am?
Okay. So here we have to find out the domain of the function. Okay, where actually x lies. What is the interval where x lies? Okay, we have to find out the domain of the function where f is a function which is defined from the set of real numbers to real numbers, and the definition of the function f is given to be x square minus 7x plus 12. Okay, so as I told you, the equation under the root must be positive always. Okay, why? Because otherwise, if it is a negative value, we get a complex number as an output. So here, since the codomain is also the set of real numbers, we cannot get a complex number. So this must be greater than or equal to 0. So this is a quadratic equation. We are finding the factors. Here, x minus 3 and x minus 4 are the factors of this equation. Okay, so this equation can be written as x minus 3 into x minus 4, and that must be the product of these two factors must be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, now let us find out where x and y lies. See here, I will take this. X is equal to 3 is a root, right? I will consider this factor. I'll consider this factor, equate it to 0. X is equal to 4 will be a root. Is it so? At these particular numbers, the value of this equation will be 0, right? These are the zeros of the given equation. So it is very sure that when you give the value 3 and 4 here, the output will be 0, equal to 0. But what about the other numbers? Whether the interval can be between 3 to 4, or the interval can be less than 3 and greater than 4. So we have to check where the value of this product will be greater than or equal to 0. First, I will give a value which is between 3 and 4, say 3.5. So when I put x is equal to 3 point here, what happens to this equation? It will be 3.5 minus 3 into 3.5 minus 4, right? So 3.5 minus 3 will be 0.5. This is a positive value. But what about this 3.5 minus 4? This will be negative value, that is minus 0.5. So you know that positive sign into minus sign, plus into minus will be negative value. This gives a negative value, but negative value cannot be greater than or equal to 0, right? So the values between 3 and 4 will not hold good for this condition. So the values must be either less than 3 or the values must be greater than 4. So you can give any value and check. Suppose I will give 2. What happens to this? 2 minus 3 into 2 minus 4. So here 2 minus 3 is minus 1. 2 minus 4 is minus 2. Here negative into negative. That will give us a positive value and it is greater than 0 for sure. And at these roots, the value will be exactly equal to 0. Whenever you give a value which is greater than 4, you will get a positive value and a positive value. The product will be a positive value and it will be greater than 0. So only the numbers that are between 3 and 4 will not hold good for this condition, and therefore the interval where x belongs will be minus infinity to 3 union 4 to infinity, because the values that are less than 3 along with 3 and the values that are greater than 4 including 4 will give us the positive value here. Therefore the interval where x belongs will be minus infinity to 3 and 4 to infinity. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we'll see the next question. If n of a is equal to 2, if n of a is equal to 2 and the total number of possible relations, from set A to set B is 1024. So here the number of possible relations is given. So the relations defined from set A to B is 1024. Then n of B is, that is, we have to find out the number of elements in the set B. The options given are A is 20, option B is 10, option C is 5, and option D is 512. Okay. So remember this thing. If n of A is equal to P, say if n of A is equal to P and n of B is equal to Q, then the total number of possible relations, the total number of possible relations from A to B total number of possible relations from A to B is 2 to the power of PQ. Okay, the total number of possible relations from A to B will be 2 to the power of PQ whenever n of A is P and n of B is Q. So here n of A is given to be 2 and 2 to the power of PQ is given to be 1024, that is the total number of relations from A to B. And we are supposed to find out n of B, right? So we know that here 2 to the power of PQ is 1024. We know what is P, that is 2. That is 2 to the power of 2Q is 1024. And we have to check, this can be written as what power of 2? Okay. See?
2 to the power of 10.
Yes, very good. So 1024 can be written as 2 to the power of 10. So here the base are same. We can equate the powers, right? So from this we can write 2Q is equal to 10 or Q is equal to 5. So we know what is Q. Q is the number of elements in the B, right? That is n of B is equal to 5. That is the number of elements in the set B is 5. So the right answer here is option C. Clear? Next question. Question number 47. This was a question in the year 2020, the previous year. Let f be a function from 2, infinity to R, that is the set of real numbers, be the function defined by f of x equals x square minus 4x plus 5. So the definition of function is given to be x square minus 4x plus 5. Then the range of f is, we have to find out the range of f. We know the codomain. Codomain is R. But here we have to find out the range. That is, whenever x are given the values in between this interval, what are all the images we get? That forms the set of the set range. Okay. What are all the images we get when we put these values to the given function? The values we will get from the range of the given function. So the options here given are the interval 1, infinity. Option B is 1, infinity and open interval. Option C is 5, infinity. And option D is minus infinity, infinity. That is the entire real line. Okay. Now, let us see. Let us write this f of x as y. Okay, let this f of x be y, which is equal to x square minus 4x plus 5. Here, what I'll do is, I'll try to make it a perfect square. Say, how can I do it? I think I can subtract 1, right? So I can make it x square minus 4x plus 5 minus 1. Isn't it? So this will give us y minus 1 is equal to x square minus 4x plus 4. And this is a perfect square, right? This can be written as x minus 2 whole square. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what will be x minus 2 then? Root of y minus 1. And once again, this is an equation under the root. So this must be positive. So my y minus 1 must be greater than or equal to 0, or y will be greater than or equal to 1. So what are the images we get when we substitute the values between 2 comma infinity in the given function? The output will always be greater than or equal to 1. Therefore, y belongs to the interval 1 comma infinity, right? Including 1, because there is equality here. Y will be greater than or equal to 1. Therefore, 1 will also be a point in the interval. So y belongs to 1 comma infinity, including 1. So which is your option A? So look at the next question. Question number 48, which was a question in the previous year, that is 2020. If a relation R on the set of only 3 elements, 1, 2, 3, be defined by, the relation is defined to be the ordered pair 1 comma 1. Then R is, okay, we have to find out what properties or what laws hold good in R. The options given are reflexive and transitive, Option B is symmetric and transitive. Option C is only symmetric. And option D is reflexive and symmetric. Okay, so we have to check the properties, that is whether the given relation is reflexive or symmetric or transitive. Okay, so here the relation is defined as the ordered pair 1 comma 1. But we know for a reflexive relation, we have to have all the ordered pairs of the form A comma A for all the elements of the given set, right? But we know in the given set, say A, there are 3 elements, different elements, 1, 2, and 3. So, but in the relation, there are no elements, that is 2 comma 2 and 3 comma 3. So, these 2 elements are not there in the relation. So, this relation is not reflexive. Why? Because the ordered pairs 2 comma 2, 3 comma 3 are not in the given relation. So let us see what about symmetric. Okay, so symmetric says that for a relation to be symmetric, we must have, whenever A comma B belongs to R, B comma A must also belongs to R, right? Whenever A comma B is in the R, B comma A must also be in the R. See, here in the relation, 1 comma 1 is given. Say, let this be A comma B. So what about B comma A? B comma A will also be 1 comma 1, right? Because a comma b we have taken it as 1 comma 1. So b comma a is also 1 comma 1, which is in the relation. So therefore the relation R is symmetric. So the given relation is symmetric. And let us see what about transitivity, whether the given relation is transitive or not. So transitivity says that for a relation to be transitive, whenever a comma b and b comma c belongs to R, that implies a comma c also belongs to R, isn't it? Right or wrong?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is what transitivity says. Okay, since there is only one element, I will consider a comma b also as 1 comma 1 and b comma c also 1 comma 1. So this belongs to R, right? These elements belong to R. Let this be a comma b and this be b comma c. Now a comma c must belong to R. So what is a? 1. What is c? 1. So clearly this 1 comma 1 belongs to R. Therefore R is transitive. So the given relation that is having only one ordered pair, it is symmetric and it is transitive, but it is not reflexive because of the absence of 2 comma 2 and 3 comma 3. So the right option is option B. It is symmetric and it is transitive. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Look at the next question, question number 49. So this also had appeared in the year 2020. So a set is given if A equals ABC, then the number of binary operations, on A is, okay, we have to find out the number of binary operations that can be defined on A. The options are 3 to the power of 6. Option B is 3 cube. Option C is 3 to the power of 9. And option D is 3. Okay. So see here, whenever n of A is m, say A has m elements, then the number of binary operations, defined on set A, the number of binary operations on set A is given by m to the power of m into m. So this is not alpha, m into m. Okay, here the set A has 3 elements, right? That is n of A is equal to 3. So the number of binary operations on A will be 3 to the power of 3 into 3, right? Which is
3 to the power of
Option
9.
C.
3
C,
to the
ma'am.
power of 9. That is option C. Good. So this completes the questions on relations and functions. I have finished all the questions from the year 2015 and above. Okay. If you have any sort of doubts, you can ask me. If not, we will move to trigonometry. No doubts?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Fine. So we'll see the questions on trigonometry. Once again, from the papers that are 2015 and above. Okay, you have the material, right? So look at question number 57. So question number 57, which was asked in the year 2015. The question given is solve for x. You have to solve for x whenever tan inverse of 1 minus x divided by 1 plus x is equal to half tan inverse x, where x is greater than 0. So I have to solve for x given tan inverse of 1 minus x divided by 1 plus x is equal to 1 by 2 tan inverse x. So see here. So here tan inverse x is there. But it will be easy whenever x is in the form of tan, right? So tan inverse of tan x will give us x. So let us try to put it in the form of tan inverse of tan theta. Okay, whatever may be the theta we get, let us try to put it in that form. Okay, for that, what I'll do is put x is equal to tan theta. Let us see what happens. What we are doing here, we are trying to put this in the form of tan inverse tan theta. That's all. Okay, I'll put x is equal to tan theta. Then what happens to this? This will be, LHS will be tan inverse of 1 minus tan theta divided by 1 plus tan theta, right? Which is equal to 1 by 2 tan inverse of tan theta. Now, see the LHS. What is this? 1 minus tan theta divided by 1 plus tan theta. Can we write this term as tan of pi by 4 minus theta? Can we write this thing as tan of pi by 4 minus theta? What is tan of a minus b? Tan a minus tan b divided by 1 plus tan a tan b, right? Put a is equal to pi by 4 and b is equal to theta. What will happen to this? Tan pi by 4. Tan pi by 4 minus tan theta divided by 1 plus tan pi by 4 into tan theta. So, you know what is tan pi by 4?
1.
What is tan pi by 4?
1.
Tan pi by 4 is 1. So, this is 1 minus tan theta divided by 1 plus tan theta, right? That is, we have put a is equal to pi by 4 and b is equal to theta in the formula tan of a minus b. So this thing can be written as tan of pi by 4 minus theta. Okay. So here what happens to LHS? This is tan inverse of tan of pi by 4 minus theta, which is equal to 1 by 2 tan inverse of tan theta. So what is tan inverse of tan theta? Tan inverse of tan theta will give us theta. And here also we have tan inverse of tan of pi by 4 minus theta. So this is pi by 4 minus theta is equal to 1 by 2 into theta. So let us take all the terms having theta to one side. So this will be 1 by 2 theta plus theta is equal to pi by 4, right? So this is 3 theta by 2 equals pi by 4, or theta is equal to 2 pi by 12 or pi by 6. So we got theta to be pi by 6. And from here, since x is equal to tan theta, let this be equation number 1. And let us write it from 1 here. From 1, x is equal to tan theta. But the value of theta is pi by 6. So x will be equal to tan pi by 6. What is tan pi by 6? What is tan pi by 6?
1 by root 3.
1 by root 3. So the value of x in the given statement is 1 by root 3. So the option B, I think, in that option B is 1 by root 3. So therefore the answer is option B. Next question. Question number 58 there. It was a question in the year 2015. The value of tan 1 degree plus tan 89 degree is option A, 2 by sine 2 degree. Option B is 1 by sine 2 degree. Option C is 1 by sine 1 degree. And option D is 2 by sine 1 degree. Okay, so we have to find out the value of tan 1 degree plus tan 89 degree. So I'll consider this equation, that is tan 1 degree plus tan 89 degree. See here, 89 degree, can I write it as 90 minus 1 degree? We can write it as 90 minus 1 degree, right? So this will be tan 1 degree plus tan of 90 minus 1 degree. So what will be the value? What is tan of pi by 2 minus theta? So we can write it as cot 1 degree, right? Tan of 90 minus theta is cot theta. So here there is 90 minus 1 degree. Therefore it will be cot 1 degree. And once again, we can write cot 1 degree as 1 by tan 1 degree. So tan 1 degree plus 1 by tan 1 degree, because cot theta is 1 by tan theta. So I'll take the LCM and simplify. This will be tan square 1 degree plus 1 divided by tan 1 degree. Now we know what is 1 plus tan square theta. What is 1 plus tan square theta? One plus tan square theta is
Cot square theta.
cot square theta. What is 1 plus tan square theta? It is secant square theta. Okay. 1 plus tan square theta is secant square theta. See, we have sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. Right? And 1 plus tan square theta is equal to secant square theta. And what is the one more problem? Sorry, one more formula. Major. 1 plus cot square theta is equal to, tell me.
Cosecant square theta.
Yes, 1 plus cot square theta is cosecant square theta. Okay. So here there is 1 plus tan square theta. So this is written as secant square theta divided by, sorry, not theta, secant square 1 degree divided by tan 1 degree. And we know what is secant theta. So it is 1 by cos theta, right? So here it is secant square theta. This can be written as 1 by cos square theta. Oh, sorry. 1 by cos square 1 degree into tan theta is sin by cos, but here it is 1 by tan theta. So what will happen? This will be cos 1 degree divided by sin 1 degree.
Sine degree.
Yes. So the square and the term cancels out here, and we are left with 1 by cos 1 degree sin 1 degree. So no options resemble this form. Now we have to take it to the form of any of these options. See, what we can do here, we can multiply and divide by 2, right? So in the numerator, it will be 2 divided by, in the denominator, it will be 2 cos 1 degree sin 1 degree. So what is 2 into cos theta into sin theta? Sin 2 theta, right? Sin 2 theta is 2 sin theta cos theta. So here it is 2 into sin 1 degree into cos 1 degree. So it can be written as sin 2 into 1 degree, that is sin 2 degree. So this is 2 by sin
2 degree.
degree. So this is the value of tan of 1 degree plus tan 89 degree. So this is your option
A.
A. Understood? Look at the next question. So the question was in the year 2015. A, x plus 1 whole square divided by x cube plus x is equal to a by x plus bx plus c divided by x square plus 1. Then cosecant inverse 1 by a plus cot inverse 1 by b plus secant inverse c is equal to. So here x plus 1 whole square by x cube plus x is resolved into partial fractions, that is a by x plus bx plus c divided by x square plus 1. We have to find out the value of a, b and c and then see what happens to this. That is cosecant inverse of 1 by a plus cot inverse of 1 by b plus secant inverse c. The options given are 0, option B pi by 2, option C is 5 pi by 6, and option D is pi by 6. Okay. So let us see what happens to the values of A, B and C. Okay. So this is x plus 1 whole square divided by x cube plus x. So when we simplify the RHS, this will be a into x square plus 1 plus bx plus c into x. So here the denominator x into x square plus 1, that is x cube plus x, and here x cube plus x in the LHS will get cancelled with each other. Okay. So let us give values for x so that we can find the values of a, b and c. First, let me put x is equal to 0. Okay. When x is equal to 0, the value in the LHS will be 1, right? That is 0 plus 1 whole square, that is 1. So here, what about a? So here it will be a into 1 plus b into bx plus c into 0. That is 0 here. So the value of a will be equal to 1. Now, to find out the value of b and c, I'll expand this. So this will be x square plus 1 plus 2x so this is a plus b into x square plus cx plus a, right? So I'm multiplying all these terms and taking the factors that are common to x square, coefficients that are having x square. Okay. Now I'll equate the coefficients. So here it is x square and here it is x square. So let me equate the coefficients. So a plus b will be equal to 1. We know the value of a. A is 1. 1 plus b is equal to 1. Therefore, b is equal to 0. So we got the value of a and the value of b. So now the coefficient of x here is c and here it is 2. So c will be equal to 2. So now we got the values of a, b and c. So here, from here, we need cosecant inverse of 1, that is 1 by a, plus cot inverse of infinity, right? The value of b is 0. Therefore, it is cot inverse of infinity plus secant inverse of 2. Right? So what is cosecant inverse of 1? Cosecant inverse of 1. This will be pi by 2, right? Cosecant pi by 2 is 1, right? So cosecant inverse of 1 is pi by 2 plus cot inverse of infinity. It is 0 plus secant inverse 2. So secant inverse 2 will be pi by 3. So pi by 2 plus pi by 3 will give us 5 pi by 6. The value of cosecant inverse 1 by a plus cot inverse 1 by b plus secant inverse c will be equal to 5 pi by 6. So this is the answer which is in your option C. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Look at the next question. If, so this was also a question in the year 2015. If alpha is less than or equal to 2 sine inverse x plus cos inverse x, which is less than or equal to beta, then alpha and beta will be option A, alpha is minus pi by 2, beta is 3 pi by 2. Option B, alpha is 0 and beta is 2 pi. Option C, alpha is minus pi by 2 and beta is pi by 2. And option D is given to be alpha is 0 and beta is pi. Okay. So it is given that alpha is less than or equal to 2 sine inverse x plus cos inverse x, which is less than or equal to beta. Okay. So we have sine inverse of x plus cos inverse of x is equal to pi by 2. Okay. So sine inverse x plus cos inverse x will be, the value of it will be pi by 2. So I can write this as alpha less than or equal to pi by 2 plus sine inverse x. Can I write it like this? Is this statement right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, because I have written this as sine inverse x plus sine inverse x plus cos inverse x. So sine inverse x plus cos inverse x will give us pi by 2, and what is left out is plus sine inverse x. Okay. So I will take this pi by 2 to other sides of the inequality. So here it will be alpha minus pi by 2, which is less than or equal to sine inverse x, which is less than or equal to beta minus pi by 2. Okay. Now we know that sine inverse x always lies between minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. Right? Sine inverse x lies between minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. Okay. Now, here the term in the middle is same. So we can equate these two. That is alpha minus pi by 2 will be equal to minus pi by 2. And beta minus pi by 2 will be equal to pi by 2. So let us equate this. So alpha minus pi by 2 is equal to minus pi by 2. So therefore alpha will be minus pi by 2. When we take this term to RHS, that will become plus pi by 2, and both the terms gets cancelled to give us 0. So alpha will be equal to 0. And what about beta? So beta minus pi by 2 will be equal to pi by 2. That is beta is equal to pi by 2 plus pi by 2, right? So the value of beta will be equal to pi. Beta is equal to pi. So the value of alpha is 0 and beta is pi, which is your option D. So to solve this question, you must know this. That is sin inverse x plus cos inverse x will be equal to pi by 2. And similarly, we have tan inverse x plus cot inverse x is also equal to pi by 2. And also we have secant inverse x plus cosecant inverse x is equal to pi by 2. Okay. So these are the results that are very helpful while solving the inverse trigonometric problems like this. Okay. Keep it in mind. Okay. And you must know the range of where the sine inverse lies. That is, sine inverse will lie between minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. Right? Any doubts in this?
No, ma'am.
Next question. If sin x plus sin y is equal to 1 by 2, sin x plus sin y is equal to 1 by 2, and cos x plus cos y is equal to 1, then tan of x plus y is equal to. So sin x plus sin y is given and cos x plus cos y is given. We have to find out what is tan of x plus y. The options are minus 3 by 4, option B 4 by 3, option C is 8 by 3, and option D is minus 8 by 3. Okay, so listen. Sin x plus sin y is equal to 1 by 2. See here. So this is of the form sin A plus sin B, right? So what is sin A plus sin B?
2 sin x plus y by 2 cos x minus y by 2.
Very good. So this is 2 sin of x plus y by 2 into cos of x minus y by 2, which is equal to 1 by 2, or sin of x plus y by 2 cos of x minus y by 2 will be equal to 1 by 4. Let this be equation number 1. And we have cos x plus cos y is equal to 1, right? So this is of the form cos A plus cos B. So how do you expand this?
2 into cos x plus y by 2 into cos x minus y by 2.
Very good. So 2 cos of x plus y by 2, cos of x minus y by 2 is equal to 1, or cos of x plus y by 2 into cos of x minus y by 2 is equal to 1 by 2. Let this be equation number 2. Okay. Now, let us divide equation 1 by equation 2. That is 1 by 2. So, what will it give us? When we divide this equation by this equation, cos of x minus y by 2 in the both the terms cancels and will give us sin of x plus y by 2 divided by cos of x plus y by 2 is equal to 1 by 4 by 1 by 2 that is 2 by 4 or 1 by 2. That is nothing but tan of x plus y by 2, right? Sin by cos is, see, sin by cos is tan. So
Tan.
we get tan of x plus y by 2 equal to 1 by 2. Okay. Now, let us see. Let us solve this. We need just tan of x plus y. That's all. We don't need tan of x plus y by 2. So what we will do is, we will consider tan of 2a. That is 2 into x plus y by 2. If we do this, we will get tan of x plus y, right? So this is of the form tan 2a. So what is tan 2a? 2 tan a divided by 1 minus tan square a, right? This is the formula for tan 2a. So let a be x plus y by 2 here. So if we consider x plus y by 2 as a, we get tan 2 into x plus y by 2 is equal to 2 into tan of x plus y by 2 divided by 1 minus tan square x plus y by 2. We have the value of tan of x plus y by 2, that is 1 by 2. So here the LHS will be tan of x plus y, which is equal to 2 into 1 by 2 divided by 1 minus 1 by 2 whole square, which is 1 by 4.
4.
Let us simplify this. In the numerator, 2 and 2 gets cancelled, and what is left out is 1 divided by 4. 1 minus 1 by 4 is 3 by 4, which is nothing but 4 by 3. So
3.
this is the value of tan of x plus y. So which was the option, right option?
B.
Yes, option B is the right answer. Okay. So we will continue in the tomorrow's class. Thank you all of you.